We're going to start off with some hip dips, which are done from a plank position, and I'm going to show you a modification for that. And we're going to do as we normally do. We've got 4 exercises, 40 seconds on each exercise. If you do need to just take a little break, if it's not working for you this morning, then just have a little break in the middle and then you can carry on. It's better to do that than kind of push through not being able to engage the core, because that's when you can have things go wrong. So we're going to start off with what's called a hip dip. So we're going to do it alternate sides. So we're going to start off in a plank position, but you could start off in a modified plank position. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come into a side plank and then just dip the hips down to the ground, and then go to the other side and dip the hips down to the ground. So as I said, you can modify it by doing a modified plank and then just roll onto your knees and then dip the hips and then come back to center. If you are on your knees and your knees are hurting, then just stick a blanket underneath or something like that just to stop, because it can be quite painful on the knees. So we're going to do 40 seconds of that exercise to start with. Like I said, if you do need to break, then you can do, that's totally fine. It's better to do that and kind of reset with dipping the hips low down. Trying to keep the body in a nice straight line when we do this. So what I mean by that is looking down from head to toe. Obviously it's not going to be in a straight line when you dip your hips down to the ground. And we're working in the side of the core here, pressing up through the arm as well. When you dip down, just press into the hand as well. And this is the last one. And coming back to center. Awesome. Okay, the next exercise we're doing is mountain climbers. So again, we're going to be in a plank position, nice and strong. And then we're bringing the knees in between the elbows. So I'll just get my watch started. So hands underneath the shoulders, and we're just bringing the knees in between the arms, keeping a strong core, bringing the navel up to the ceiling. So we're trying to engage in that core area, keeping breathing, and we're halfway through. So looking down at the floor. If we need to take a break, that's fine. So come back to it. Got 10 seconds. Pushing down through the fingertips as well, pressing into the hands and releasing. And then we'll just shift the hips back a little bit just to allow the core to release there. Okay, and then the next exercise, we're going to roll onto our backs and we're going to do a glute bridge. So glute bridge, we're lifting the hips up off the floor and then trying to imagine a line coming from the shoulders to the knees. Then we're going to be lifting one leg up and keeping that straight line there, and then just dipping the hips down and then back up so that that knee's in line with the other one. And then we'll do the same on the other side. So this is working the glutes, the core, the hamstring. So we'll alternate legs. So go from one side to the other, lowering just off the floor and keeping engaged in the core. Also trying to keep the chin tucked in. So we've got a neutral spine here. And remembering to breathe. Really focusing on that straight line through the body. We're also engaging through the lower back a little bit here. Okay, and release down. So the last exercise in the set is dead bugs. So for dead bugs, we're keeping knees above hips. Try and keep your ankle in line with the knee as well. Arms are pointing up, And then we're going to take alternate hand to leg, and we're just hovering that foot off the floor when we straighten the leg. So alternate arms to legs, pressing the lower back into the floor, and also just tucking the chin. So I noticed immediately I started looking back. So we're trying to look out at the ceiling, tucking the chin in, about a foot just a few inches off the floor. Breathing. Got 10 seconds left. Keep it going. And last one. And then coming back up and then into the plank position. So we're going back to the hip dips. So either on your knees or straight legs, it's up to you. In the plank and then coming to the side and then aiming for a dip down to the side. Really pressing into that shoulder and trying to keep that nice and strong. Trying not to collapse into the shoulder. We're pushing up through there. And you can be doing this on your knees, or you could even just hold a plank. That's another option for you. Okay, last one. And then lower down. So the next exercise is our mountain climbers. So we're in that plank position again. We're just going to take a little breather because we're back into plank. So hands underneath the elbows. And what we'll do this time, we'll go in between the arms and then outside. So to the outside of the elbows. So in between the arms and then to the outside. Just going to show you from the front so you can see inside and then to the outside of the elbows. We're over halfway through there. If you need to come down for the last few seconds, that's totally fine. Pressing through the fingers, breathing and looking down to the floor, and then releasing. And then we're coming onto our backs for our dead bugs. Sorry, not dead bugs, glute bridge. Getting ahead of myself, so feet flat on the floor, and we're aiming for a line from the knee to the ankle here so that we can lift the hips up and we're in a straight line. And then lifting and lowering alternate legs. Pressing the hands into the floor as well. We're trying not to arch in the back here. We're just trying to keep a straight line through the spine. So we're trying to keep it neutral. Pressing the shoulders down into the floor. Also thinking about the neck being nice and long, so tucking the chin in. Lowering and lift. And last one. Back to neutral. Okay, staying on our backs now. We're getting the knees above hips, ankles in line with knees, arms, hands pointing towards the sky. Tuck the chin in so that your neck is neutral, and we're going straight into dead bugs. Pressing that lower back into the floor. And also remembering to tuck that chin, so sometimes things move about as we're doing the exercise. So just keep checking in with what's happening. Got 10 seconds left, pressing that lower back into the floor. If it starts arching off the back too much, then you need to take a break and come back. And last one. Okay, and then hug the knees in. And we'll roll up, and we're going back into the hip dip. So we're into that plank position. We'll just take a few breaths before we get there. So stay in on all fours, and we'll just do a few cat-cows here. So just dropping the hips down and looking up a little bit, and then rocking, bringing the navel up towards the sky. So we'll do a few of those just to ease out before the last round of exercises. And if you want to kind of move from side to side, just get a bit of mobility in the shoulders, maybe do a few circles before we start again. And the other way. There's a lot of clicking going on in my hips this morning. Okay, so we'll start into that plank position, and then coming to the side, dipping down, or you can be on your knees to the side and dipping down. Your choice. And you can alternate between. If you can do a few in full plank and then a few with your knees, then you'll be able to build up to doing all of them in a full plank at some point. Or not, you might not. Okay, and then back to the plank position. And we're going into our mountain climbers. So again, we're going to do in between, coming in between and bringing those knees up high and then to the outside of the elbows. So trying to get the knees as high as you can, pressing into the hands. So we're aiming for those knees kind of coming into the chest, looking down at the floor, pressing into the fingertips. You've got it. We've got a few seconds left. Keep breathing. If you need to come down, you can do for the last few. And we're all going to release down now. Awesome. Okay, back onto the back again. And we're going into that glute bridge. So feet underneath the knees, pressing the shoulders and the hands into the floor. We just lift the hips up, making sure there's a nice straight line through the body, and then lifting up alternate leg. Okay, so as I said before, this is working your glutes and also your hamstrings as well as the core. This is quite often an exercise that physios will give you when they want you to start activating your glutes a bit more. So it just raises the awareness of what muscles you're using. Okay, last one. And back to neutral. Okay, and then last exercise, last set, we're going to do our dead bugs. So we're up with our knees above the hips, ankles in line with the knees, and we're taking alternate arm to alternate leg. Tuck the chin in so that your spine is nice and long. Keep breathing, pressing the lower back into the floor. Remember, if your lower back starts to arch and come up off the floors, then you want to take a little break, because otherwise that's when we can put undue pressure on the spine if it's coming up off the floor and we're arching too much. We've got a few seconds left. And last one. Brilliant. Okay, that went really quickly. So well done, everybody. Thanks for coming along. I'll see you again in the next session.